So in this video, I want to talk about how do we take training that's going really well in one environment and start shifting that into other environments. And what does it mean when you work your dog at home and they're doing great, they're following cues and they're responding really well. And then you get really excited and you're like, well, I want to take them out somewhere and go visit somebody, and it falls apart. It just kind of blows up in your face. First of all, realize that's perfectly normal. Your dog can be a rock star at home, and you take them to the pet store and it's as if they have no training. You ask them to sit and they stare at you. You try to say their name and they act like they don't even have a name. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, what's happened? My puppy knows all this, or my dog knows all this. And it's frustrating, and it might even be embarrassing because we get really excited when our puppies and dogs are doing well in training, and we want to take them out and show them off a little bit, and they basically crash and burn in front of everybody. So that's perfectly normal too. But I think it's important to understand there may be a couple things going on. So when your puppy gets used to being home, or your dog is home and they're working in that environment, they're comfortable there. And they've learned there, and they've always responded well. And so it's not uncommon that they do well in an environment that they feel safe and comfortable in. Then we take them into a new environment, and what we have to realize is we have to almost go back to the very beginning and start introducing those training concepts again, because now they're in a new place. New distractions, sights, smells, sounds, people. You probably don't have random people in your family room coming up to your puppy squealing, trying to pet them. At least I don't. But if I take my dog out in public, that's exactly what happens. This guy, Marshall, he's a people magnet. It's hard to get people to keep their hands off of him. And Ducky, probably going to be worse because he'll be even bigger and cuter. Not that he isn't super cute. But we have to take all those things into consideration. We've now put our puppy in this different environment that's very stressful for a new puppy, and we're expecting them to perform at the same level that they did when they were at home in a nice, calm, quiet place. So often our first thought is, oh my gosh, he's just being disobedient, he's listening to me, instead of really kind of observing the puppy and realizing they just don't understand that we're supposed to do the same thing here that we did at home. That's the generalization that I talk about a lot when I'm working with clients and even in videos. So we need to take that into consideration. We've now plopped them into this completely different environment where they have to get their bearings first before we start expecting them to have all this training that they've done kick in. A lot of times people think, well, maybe I change the value of the food, and that can be helpful. Absolutely, increasing the value of food you're using when you're training in a new environment. But if you are also seeing that a dog who's extremely food motivated suddenly will not take treats, it's a very good indicator that at some level they're feeling stressed or uncomfortable. Our dogs can't tell us in words how they're feeling, but they tell us through their actions and they tell us through their body language. So learning to read your puppy or dog is a really, really important thing to do. So I think the best advice that I give people, or I can give people, is take things slower. So when I'm working with a puppy, such as Ducky, we'll practice things at home and he's doing really well. And then I go and I practice those things in the driveway, where again, it's just me and him. But there's distractions now. Neighbors might be out, might be some traffic, it sounds different, there's birds and squirrels and all kinds of stuff running around. So even though we don't see those as big distractions, they're huge distractions to our dog. So I'm going to practice in the front yard, in the backyard. Then I might start walking him up and down my cul-de-sac. Again, introducing him into a new environment, practicing just exposing him to new things, but also these little training skills that we're working on. Then he goes to a vet appointment. I always try to schedule my vet appointments at quieter times in the clinic because I don't want to walk into a packed waiting room and it's just managing chaos. So I try to go at times like the very last appointment of the morning or the very first appointment after lunch so that it's pretty quiet. And then I'll practice in there. I practice outside the vet clinic, in the parking lot of the vet clinic. What I don't want to do is take this dog who is either a puppy or a new adult dog to me and keep throwing them into situations that really are overstimulating for them and potentially just over their head at this point. And it doesn't mean you're never going to be able to take your dog and do all the things you want to do, but you're going to have to work towards that. And it can be a slow process. Some dogs, they just kind of just plow through life. Nothing really bothers them. You can socialize them quickly. You can expose them to new environments without a lot of problems. Other dogs, it takes more time. The last thing to consider is your dog may not be the kind of dog who really enjoys going out into public. And that's something, you start to figure out as you're working with them. Dogs don't need to go to Home Depot. Dogs don't need to go walk around your downtown area. Dogs don't need to go into the bank so that you can let everybody meet them. Dogs don't have to go to the pet store. Those are things that we enjoy doing with our dog, but if our dog doesn't enjoy doing that, you're really kind of forcing something on them that they're uncomfortable. You run the risk of them developing, anxious behaviors about going out in public, and potentially something really, bad can happen if we put a dog in a situation that they're really uncomfortable or afraid of. They may do the only thing that comes naturally to them, which is start to use aggressive displays to get people to leave them alone. So I think we have to always work to socialize and expose our dogs to lots and lots of different things, but we also have to be prepared somewhere along the way if your particular puppy or dog just doesn't enjoy it or isn't safe in that environment. Then the best thing and the kindest thing that you can do is just stop putting them in that environment. The exception to the rule, obviously, is the veterinarian. We know we need them to feel comfortable going to the vet. They're going to go their entire life. But I'm talking about just other outings, other things that we want to do with our dog. I have had dogs over the years who did not enjoy going out in public. I had one dog, all he enjoyed was playing in my backyard. He didn't even like walking in my neighborhood. And as a trainer, of course, you want to train it and fix it and make it work. But I had to really take my own advice and come to the realization he's getting all the exercise he needs running in my 3/4 acre fully fenced yard. He had dog friends to play with, and he had dogs that would come over, friends of mine who'd bring their dogs over to play, and he loved it. He didn't like going out and walking in the neighborhood. He didn't like going into town. And so it was my responsibility to help him just be successful where he was going to be successful. It's also very stressful to continue to force a dog to train in an environment that they clearly are not comfortable in. It's not fun for the dog. It's not fun for you either. So I would just encourage you, if you're working with your puppy or your dog and you're finding situations where they're hypervigilant, anxious, barking, retreating, just really showing you, and I just don't like this or I'm not comfortable, you really need to recruit the help of a professional, probably a certified behavior person, because we're really looking at just something more than just basic training. This isn't something you should just keep pushing and pushing and pushing in the hopes that it will go away. So really learn to identify when your dog is comfortable, when they just need a little bit more practice, or maybe when you need to recruit the help of somebody to help you.